Hey, welcome back to Cedar Porch Homestead. I'm JR, and I am at ground zero for where we are starting this farm on our 50 acres from scratch. Now, all behind me, we have our layers here. Way back there, we have our mobile hoop houses that we housed our meat birds in. All those are empty right now. We got a freezer full of chicken, and we've got an awesome pasture behind us that we are developing through regenerative practices of holistic rotational grazing. Now, that's a whole lot to say, but essentially we are moving animals along this pasture, trying to improve the South Texas soil because it's not great. So we're working really hard to try to get this pasture all developed so that we can bring ruminants out maybe later this year, and we're doing that using chickens. Now, not all of this property is all this pasture behind me. A lot of it, as you see back there, is woods, and that's where we're headed now. Okay, so on the other end of the property, we have woods, and we are using our pigs to try to help mitigate and create silvopasture through these woods. And the way we're doing that is by using this electrified netting so that we can concentrate our pigs in a certain area, and I'll show you what kind of damage they've done so far. Okay, so I don't know if you can really tell how deep this grass is behind me, but it's about 2.5, maybe 3 foot tall, and there's a lot of down trees, there's a lot of brush, there's a lot of down tree limbs all through and mixed in here. Makes it hard to get a tractor or something back here to clean it, and that's a whole lot of manpower that I just don't feel like doing when we can use the power of pigs. Now, I'm in their pen right now, and I will show you what they have done so far. They have either eaten or trampled their whole pen almost, and we're doing that by letting them just stay in here for maybe 1.5 to 2 weeks at a time, and we're just kind of moving their food around. They're grazing on some of the grasses that they want, picking up some of that forage, and they're also just trampling it down. So we've got 2 sows, and one of them had piglets, so you can probably hear one of those in the background. Not happy that my daughter's picking it up.
Sorry.
You're good. Okay, so as we're moving around their little paddock right now, you can see they have like trampled this all down. Right here behind me, it's still a little tall, so we're actually strategically just moving their food around slowly. So they're probably going to be in this paddock maybe 3-4 more days until we're ready to move them on to the next. Okay, so this is just the adjoining paddock. That's where they are now. This is where they were. Again, they trampled, they ate. All this behind me makes it real easy to get in here with a chainsaw and a tractor. And what we're going to be able to do behind these pigs is now keep this kind of mowed and maintained. We can keep all the little trees that we don't want, cut those out and take those out, while leaving the established trees to create that good silvopasture that we're kind of shooting for. And that way we can have good grazable grass in here and a lot of shade, because South Texas gets hot, and let's face it, this canopy is going to make it pretty easy for our ruminants to get out of that South Texas heat. Okay, one of the coolest things about these Kunekune pigs is they will work for food. So as we're just moving our food in, these pigs will follow us virtually anywhere, which makes it super easy to move them. And I say that now, I've moved the girls, no problem. This is going to be the first time that we're going to have to move our big boar, so I don't think it's going to be an issue. He follows me pretty easy as long as I have food, but we're in his paddock right now, and he's done a pretty good job of knocking down most of this, and we're ready to move him to the next. So let's go ahead and start the process of getting tomorrow's paddock all prepped so that we can go ahead and move this guy tomorrow morning. Okay, so the area behind me, that's where we're going to be moving our big boar tomorrow. And as you can see, I've got a tree in the way. I've got some other trees that we want to take out first. Now, we're going to let him do most of the work. So we're just moving the stuff so that we can get our electric netting around to create that paddock. That's really all we're trying to do today, is just get it cleared up enough to where we know our electric fence can go. And that way we can move him tomorrow, because then we're going to actually come back to his paddock that he's already pretty much knocked down. And that's going to allow us to get this area cleaned up. Any trees that we want to go ahead and remove, that's when we're going to do that, because we're not going to be waiting around in this tall, tick infested, nasty stuff that's going to have all kind of bugs and chiggers and everything else that you could imagine. We're going to stay out there as much as possible and let our pigs do the work, and then when they're done, we'll come back and clean up. Okay, full disclosure, we're getting a late start by about an hour today than we normally like to do our morning chores, and that's because, well, of this guy right here. So recently I just bought this Neotech chainsaw, and you say, what's Neotech? Well, that's a brand that is not a Steel Echo or Husqvarna or one of the notable brands here in the US, because I went cheap and we're going to give it a shot. I say I've wasted $140 on a lot dumber stuff, so we're going to give this one a shot. And it cost me about an hour this morning of getting that spark plug replaced and gapped correctly so I can get it fired up. And I mean, it was more than that, but that was essentially the problem I have of getting this thing up and running. So we're going to give it a shot. And now if it runs great, now that I've got it all tuned up and ready to go, then it was worth $140. But if not, you buy cheap, you buy twice. And I hope that's not the case this time.
My turn.
All right, didn't take a whole lot of time for the most part. We got that all kind of cleared up of that big brush, and we'll come in tomorrow, move the fencing, go back to where he was, move all that brush and cut down a few of the dead trees, some of the smaller stuff to get that hauled out. And then we'll put all that on the big burn pile. But I gotta say, that little Neotech, once it was up and running today, it did a really good job. I mean, I use a chainsaw for a living pretty much as a first responder, and it worked just as good as anything else I've ever used at work. So, man, it chopped up that wood all right, and it was at a fraction of the price. Now, I'm not going to go and stand and put my stamp of approval on that Neotech. I'll go ahead and leave a link in the description below. If you want to check it out yourself, you can follow that link and see if that's something that you want to undertake as far as a gamble. But that's 100% the way I look at it. It was a $140 gamble for a 60cc saw. So you can make that choice for yourself. But it's already starting to get a little warm here in South Texas, and we're kind of done with our chores. Everybody's fed, all the eggs are gotten, and we are ready to head to the house and start on some projects there, because we've got some really cool stuff coming up this year. It not only includes this 50 acres, it might include some really other amazing stuff, but tomorrow morning we're going to be back to move this big old pig. Okay, so we ran into a little bit of a problem. We're troubleshooting right now. So our solar energizer, because we were doing this in the woods, it was not getting all the daylight and all the sun that it needed over the last couple days. So the battery's a little drained. Thank goodness we actually have another one that we're switching out, so we can go and take the other one to charge. And Big Boy's just checking out his new paddock. So we're gonna get this thing hooked up so that he has a little bit of a perimeter that keeps him in check.
Ready?
Mm-hmm. All right.
There we go.
All right, we're in business. All right, and as Big Boy is checking out his new paddock, already starting to graze, knock out some of that nice good forage that's in here. We're going to start cleaning out his old paddock that he was in so that we can get our tractor back here and keep everything maintained. You're a good boy. Good boy, huh? Oh.
don't knock back.
Okay, as Ashlyn's finished loading that trailer so we can get that on the burn pile, let me just show you what we're shooting for and what we're going for with this rotational grazing and using pigs to clean out the woods here. So this is where our boar is now. This is his paddock. This will be his new home for probably a month since it's just him. So he doesn't work as fast as all those sows with those piglets. He takes a little bit more time. However, he does just as good of a job. It just takes him a little bit more time because this is his paddock that he just moved from. Okay, so what he had in his paddock was a bunch of downed trees. There was a lot of brush. There was a lot of stumps. There was a whole lot of stuff that needed to come out. We didn't want to get in here at all that tall grass. We let him do all the work to get that stuff grazed down, knocked down, and then we came in behind him, got all that brush knocked out, cut down a few of the smaller trees that we don't want in here. There's probably a few more small trees that are going to come out. Not a huge concern right now because now we can actually get in here. Now we can get the tractor in here. We can start growing better grasses and maybe even getting some chickens run through here and some mobile tractors. And that way we can get all this as pasture forages for our ruminants that we're going to be bringing in hopefully later this year. And we have all this grazable area now that we're working to get, and we're doing that by using pigs. Are you hiding? I think he's trying to hide. Okay, so this is how we're using pigs to really change up this heavily wooded area that is untouched, has been untouched for a really long time, and trying to turn it into manageable pasture, well, silvopasture, with a lot of good shade and a lot of good forage underneath. So that's going to be huge for bringing in cattle or sheep or whatever we decide to bring in later on this year. So, and we're doing that all with pigs and letting them do all the work, and we're just coming in and doing a little bit of cleaning behind them. So if you like our content, make sure you're subscribed, hit that notification bell so you're notified when we come out with these new videos. Give us a thumbs up and leave a comment or question below. We love interacting with you guys. As always, thank you so much. See you next time.